All right. Peace. Probably back into my grow room, right? And probably the only the only video that you'll see on social media where the person says, "Feel free not to like or subscribe or any of that." It's not done for any of that. What I hope is that what I present is usable. You can take it, incorporate it, and do something with it, right? And for me, it's therapy, right? We've been in the middle of the pandemic for an awful long time. We've suffered an awful lot of loss. And so now I have a quiet space. I have my garden, right? And I can grow and I can share with you what I've learned along my journey in growing, right? And specifically surrounding how to produce enough food within an apartment to feed yourself, right? How do you create the space, plan it out, and what do you need to do, okay? So this specific segment speaks to air, right? We spoke to, again, what are we doing? When we grow food, we're simulating nature, right? What does every single plant need? They need a medium, soil, sand, water, rocks, it could be anything, right? They need a medium, they need sunlight, they need air, and they need water, okay? You provide that to a plant and they have them. So this segment is specific to the air, right? Okay. So in this specific grow that I have, and even in my grow room, because again, we're going to use these other sites, right? But in this area, in the grow tent that I have, I want to control the air, its temperature, and the environment, right? That's really one of the biggest benefits associated with growing indoors is that you have complete control of the environment. The downside associated is that with that is you have complete control over the environment. It means you have to factor and you have to think through things that nature has done automatically, right? Well, one of the things that you cannot have is stale air, right? You need to have the air moving. Not only that, you need to have fresh air coming in. Okay, so there are two ways in which you can aerate your grow space, especially specifically a tent or a tower. One is called positive pressure and one is called negative pressure. Basically, what they speak to is the speed with which you exhaust air being faster than the speed with which the air is coming into your tent. Okay? That's controlled by the inline fans. So you have an inline fan here, right? And when you look at the inline fan, that the most relevant elements to it are the CFM, or the cubic feet per minute. And so this inline fan pushes 100 cubic feet per minute, and it shows you the direction of the airflow. So you put ductwork on this end, 2-inch ductwork here, 2-inch ductwork here, and you, so actually, 2-inch ductwork here, and I would be connecting to my window here, right? No, I got that wrong. Here. So that would be out at my window and pulling the air, and this would be ductwork going into my grow area, or my grow tent. So this is 100 cubic feet per minute. This is a slightly different type, but it's basically the same thing, right? And this pushes 190 cubic feet per minute. So generally speaking, and what I'm doing is one of the more challenging grows is the marijuana, just because it's so meticulous relative to when you do specific things and you trigger the plant to do what it's supposed to. So it's interesting, and if you can grow marijuana, you can grow anything, right? So what is conducive to the greatest yield is a negative pressure environment, not a positive pressure. So a positive pressure environment simply means that you are not exhausting the air as quickly as it is being ported in. Okay? A negative pressure environment means you're exhausting the air faster than the air is being pushed in. So it keeps a nice steady flow. Remember, I spoke about that wave form where it's coming in, it's dipping down, giving the plants what it needs, and it exits. Okay? So My tent is going to be a negative pressure tent, which means, again, I'm exhausting faster than I am pulling in. Okay? So you're going to decide how your build will be. Again, for maximum yield, negative pressure is best. You can identify negative pressure visually when you look at the tent, because in a negative pressure capacity, it'll be pulled in a little bit, it'll be sucked in. In a positive pressure environment, it'll be bowed out, right? You'll be able to see it, you'll be able to touch it, and it will be springy, right? That's a positive pressure, and a negative pressure, it'll be sucked in, okay? And so as we move forward, we're gonna speak about, more environmental monitoring, specifically saturation of carbon dioxide in your grow environment, which is good for the plants. And so we'll get into that. But first and foremost, for James, really, I wanted to kind of get into the inline fan, the duct work, and like that. And so in my grow, what you'll see is I've installed, so, I just moved it down yesterday. So each day I'm building on and I'm putting more into it, but I wanted to do kind of a step by step. And so you see the ductwork coming into that port that I spoke to yesterday. And that then goes into a carbon-based filter. And so what this will do is it will filter the air that comes into my environment. And again, where you're not necessarily using a tent and you just need to have clean air, you can use that and just put it into the service area. You can put it into an area that, mount it, similar to what you see here, mount it somewhere, and run your ductwork and put that filter in place, right? And that will provide you clean air, even in a place where the air may not be so fresh outside. And I've got a much bigger one. If James, if you need me to go through it and show you the bigger one and put that in the service, I will. And I might just do it anyway because there's a lot of plants that are coming, and I want to exhaust. I want to make sure that the exhaust is clean, So I'm going to run. So the way that this will work is, in order for me to create the negative pressure, I've got this coming in. I'm going to use a 100 cubic feet per minute inline fan to pull the air from the window, right? From the window and into the tent. Okay? Then I'm going to use the 190 cubic feet per minute tent, and I'm going to put ductwork there in that port, and I'm going to pull from there. So again, thereby creating the wave stream kind of on a vertical axis, right? And again, so the air comes in, the plants get what they need, they use it, and then I pull that air back out. On the other end, what we're going to do is we're going to install that other carbon-based filter for that exhaust air, and we'll make sure that we clean the air going out so that everybody in the neighborhood doesn't know that we got that fire. Okay, so again, quick conversation. I'm going to try to keep these real short, you know what I'm saying? This conversation is about air, moving the air, considerations, ducting, and finally your filtration. So filtration at 2 points, one inside, one outside. One on the incoming air and one on the air exhausting, using the ductwork, generally 2-inch fittings throughout everything. And again, hopefully this is helpful and you can start to do your own therapy at home, grow your own food at home, and we're going to continue forward. All right?